buddy, put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
That was just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show, streaming live across the world.
Oh, baby, live around the world on the internet at michaeldukeshow.com and across the state of Alaska on this your favorite radio station and or FM translator. Hello. Hello, my friends. Welcome to Humpday, middle of the week, downhill slide to the long Labor Day weekend. Oh, man, it's going to be good stuff. Hi, how are you? Are you ready to go? We have got some stuff to talk about today. Stuff and things, Lori. Stuff and things. There is some interesting things we're going to be discussing here in hour one. Some of the hot news of the day and the headlines. I've got some commentary that's probably not going to go over real well with some of you. And we're going to talk a little bit about that and potentially have some input from the chat room as well on this. We'll be chattering about this in hour one. In hour two, we're going to be joined by State Senator Mike Shower, Senate Minority Leader Mike Shower, who is going to come on. I thought I was going to have the whole show to myself today, but Mike was kind enough to reach out to me actually and get himself on the schedule. So that's kind of nice when that all works out, right? And he's going to come on board in hour two, and well, we're just going to riff, man. We're just going to riff. We're going to talk about whatever the hell we feel like talking about. So I hope you are ready. Buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to be fun. That's all coming up in hour two on the big radio show today. There's some headlines out there this morning that I think are going to be good. First and foremost, I want to say thank you. I have started kind of a new thing here behind the scenes on the show. Kind of a new thing where I have been taking little bits and pieces of the show from each daily show. Not only am I podcasting it, but I've been doing these little YouTube shorts of the show, 45 to 90-second little clips that are some of the more, I was going to say poignant. That's not compelling, maybe provocative bits of the show. And I have been posting them up to YouTube, a couple each day. And we've been getting some traction, up to 1,000 views on some of these little shorts. And I'm hoping that it's driving more people over to the show so they come in and listen in the morning, or maybe at least go back and listen on the podcast. So if you haven't, and I know you're listening on the radio and you probably don't care, but I'm going to implore you anyway, that if you do have a YouTube account, I mean, come on, who doesn't have a YouTube account right now? It's been 15 years. You probably have a YouTube account. Might I suggest you go over to the Michael Dukes Show on YouTube and just hit subscribe, and I guess ring the bell too. I guess that's the other thing you got to do on YouTube is you have to hit the subscribe button and then you have to ring the bell. Anyway, it will show up. You should see more of the show in your YouTube shorts, which is the little short, not your shorts that you're wearing. It's small videos. Okay. But yeah, we're getting, it's pretty interesting to see what gets traction and what doesn't. Like what topic is, trips people's trigger and which ones don't. But Yeah, up to 1,000 views on some of these videos over the last I don't know, 7-8 days that I've been doing this, and I plan on doing it again almost every day. We're going to put some more YouTube shorts up there because I think there's some important stuff in what we talk about. And if we can catch somebody's attention out there, then it's good stuff. So again, just go over to youtube.com slash Michael Duke Show, and you can sign up, youtube.com slash Michael Duke Show, and you can get it all gear. So I clicked on one of the shorts, said someone comments were turned off, didn't click on anymore. I didn't know that the comments were turned off. I'll do my best to figure that out. I'm still figuring out all the world of there should be comments, but if not, maybe it's a YouTube thing. Anyway, go over there and enjoy it, and you can do it to it. All right, so a couple of the big headlines from this morning that we're going to be taking a crack at. One, these are things that are going to cause some of you to lose your mind. All right, I'm just going to be honest with you right off the bat. One is the executive order signed by President Trump that says the desecration of the American flag is a punishable crime by no burning the flag. To which I have some thoughts. Now, he didn't do it quite the way that the news media is portraying it, and we'll dig down into the details on that, but I think it's a problematic executive order. I'll just throw that out there to begin with. Now, the second story is this video of the Palmer police officers who essentially wrestle a man who's holding a toddler down to the ground and tase him and strip the baby away from him. And I mean, I got questions. All right, I'm just going to say it. I've got questions. And I think a lot of people have kind of got questions about what the incident was all about. And we'll go over that as well. Because as much as, I mean, I'm all about protecting the public, and I'm back in the blue, right? I mean, but at some point you got to start asking questions like, can we find another, what happened to peace officers, right? What's the difference between a peace officer and a law enforcement officer? Is there a difference? I mean, in my mind, there is. And I think it's a generational difference more than anything else. But we'll talk about that as well. Also, a new list has just come out. Suzanne Downing over at Must Read, she has done a bang-up job talking about the latest. There's a left of center organization outfit called The Third Way, which is been sending out a memo talking about some of the groupthink and the what do we call it? The vocabulary, the language capture that the left has been doing. And Third Way has now told people, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't use the words that you're, and of course, some on the left, including the Blue Alaskan, has lost his mind on this, and they're going to keep doing with the thing. But it's kind of interesting to see how they are starting to understand that that this is a game of hearts, and this is a game. It's not a game, but this is a game of hearts and minds, right? This is about hearts and minds. This is not about overall. I mean, they think it's about being right and being righteous, and folks on our side think the same thing in certain ways. But this is really a game of hearts and minds. You're not going to convince somebody who's on the uber left or who's on the uber right of what you're trying to do. And this is just like we do on Firearms Friday, is we're trying to capture people who are in the middle, right? Because you got this vast unwashed mass in the middle that's kind of independent. They're middle of the road. They're not too far one way. They're not too far the other way. And they just kind of want to just be, left alone. And they just want to live their lives. And unfortunately, both sides seems to be doing their best to alienate them. And I don't think that's how we're going to win either. But anyway, this new listicle is pretty interesting. So we'll get into that as well. Because I think it is, I think it's fascinating to see all, because when you don't think about all the time, you don't think about all the words that we're hearing and have heard over the last, I guess, 10, 15 years, maybe 10 years, that now, hearing them now, we understood them, but hearing them all in one group, hearing them all in one big blurb really makes you think how there has been a capturing of the language. And anyway, there's again, the new memo from Third Way has been gently scolding the left for using the words that no normal person would really ever say, like othering and centering and dialoguing and food insecurity. Downing says, instead of making Democrats sound empathetic, the group admits this therapy speak only makes them sound like they're running a support group for doctoral candidates. Now, again, the Blue Alaskan, who, if you don't follow on Twitter or Blue Sky or wherever the guy is at these days, his reaction was the center-left think tank Third Way is circulating a list of 45 words and phrases they want Democrats to avoid using. They can go screw themselves, although he doesn't use the word screw. So, and again, before you think the Democrats are going to change their ways and learn from this, the message is not about stop the wokeness, right? Or stop being woke. The message from the Third Way, a think tank, is stop sounding woke and broke, I guess. So just go back to regular words that, other people may understand. Birthing person, you don't have to use the term birthing person. You can say woman, right? That kind of thing. The memo divides bad language into categories like therapy speak and seminar room language, which is, but all these things. So here are some of the words. And again, I think it's hysterical just because when you start to hear these words, you hear the words in isolation and you're like, okay, I know what it means, but when you start to hear how many words have been changed or how many phrases, how much they've changed the lexicon of speech in the country in the last 10 years, you're like, oof, right? So the therapy speech includes words like privilege, dialoguing, othering, triggering, microaggression, centering, safe space, body shaming. Those are all therapy speak words. The seminar room language includes subverting norms, systems of oppression, critical theory, cultural appropriation, postmodernism, Overton window. I've actually used that phrase a few times. Voyeuristic, existential threat to fill in the blank, the economy, the planet, the climate, democracy, etc. The organizer jargon, radical transparency, small d democracy, stakeholders, barriers to participation, the unhoused, food insecurity, housing insecurity, and person who immigrated. You just think about how far some of these have made their way down into the lexicon. I mean, I have used the word stakeholders. I have used the phrase Overton window, right? I mean, these are things that are, but you got to start thinking about, this is how much they've wheedled their way into it. And then the gender and orientation correctness. This is all the stuff that they're saying, don't use it. They're not saying don't believe in what you believe, but stop sounding weird to people. Birthing person or inseminated person. Pregnant people. Chest feeding. Cisgender. Dead naming. Heteronormative. Patriarchy. LGBTQIA+. Okay. I mean, this doesn't change anything. This whole thing is, they're not policing the language or banning the phrases, but they're basically telling people to talk like normal, average, everyday people who are not politically motivated, how just the normies talk. And that makes sense to me. I mean, again, that's what we've been trying to do on Firearms Friday for years, is we're trying to bring that, we're trying to counteract, we're trying to be the counterculture for some of these things, but you got to talk the language of the people that you're talking to. And holding yourself out for your heteronormative, whatever, cis heteronormativity or whatever. I mean, you sound pretentious. You sound pretentious. And I know some people want that, but that's just doesn't make any sense. You could still do that amongst yourselves and whisper, but in public, they're being encouraged to, but don't worry. The left is going to be so upset about it. They're just going to basically tell you to go screw yourself. That's what they're doing right now. Anyway, I just got a kick out of it because I started thinking about all these words that, I have used some of these words now. They've been in the lexicon long enough that I have used them for my own devices. But anyway, you should go check out the whole full list over at Must Read Alaska. All right, we got to go. We're going to come up. We got more coming up here in a minute. We're going to talk a little bit about this flag ordinance, flag executive order, I guess I should say, and this takedown at the state fair by the Palmer police. I have thoughts. We're going to get back to it. Don't go anywhere. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio.
If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your time with Dukes on Demand. Oh, and it's free. Like America used to be. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay. Wow. Oh, wow. There's some crazy stuff in there. Okay. I'm scrolling backwards here to see what you guys have been talking about. Bill joins us today. Okay. Rick said, I woke up thinking I feel the opposite of bright-eyed and ready to go. Absolutely. Brian says, wait, input from the chat room? So we do matter. Damn. Walking a little taller. You guys all matter to me. Every one of you. You guys all matter. Fat Ray, I didn't know that the shorts don't. Is there even an option in the shorts? I'm gonna look. I've got a shorts window open right now. The back end. You know what I mean. Subtitles, things, comments. Video comments, status unresponded, sort by published. I don't think it's telling me that I change things, show more. I'm looking for altered content, no, allow chapters, yada, 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 tags, recording date, allow embedding, category, entertainment, comments are on. It says comments are on. So that's just the last video from yesterday. It says comments were on. I suppose I could look at every video that I've got in here. But it says comments are on. Everyone's got comments on. So I don't know why you say you couldn't comment, but comments are turned on. So feel free to, and I don't know if it's just a thing about shorts or not, but I see one of them that I did a couple of years ago. I did some shorts a couple of years ago. It's got 2 comments. So I know that comments are available, but you'll have to, you got your mileage may vary. You guys have to figure it out. Okay. What's the penalty for burning a gay rainbow flag? Nothing. Taylor Swift getting married in Homer? What? Oh God, that's all we need. Good morning. I saw that video, says Anthony. It's either a case of questionable force on the police's part, or it's a poor choice in body armor on the dude's part, missing context. Are we talking about the same video? I have questions about the use of force in that case, but it's just me. If you asked the boys on the Higgins boats if they were about to engage with Jerry so commies could burn our flags, how many do you figure would say yes? I don't know. I mean, I think that's a loaded question. We're talking about things that are, more amorphous than that. But like I said, some of you are going to be upset with me by the time the morning's over, and that's fine with me. Why would anyone go along with this crazy? How about fully semi-automatic? Thank you, David. That's the one that should have been on the list. Fully semi-automatic. Jeffrey says, are they retreating from that hill rather than die on it? I think they're trying to get smarter. They've got somebody in there who's saying, whoa, people, we're screwing it up. There are 9 pages of these terms centered on LGBTQ+++. Normie is one of them. Don't use the word normie. I use the word normie and stakeholder. Yeah. Good morning. Fat Ray said, I can comment on other channel shorts, but the one with the Ed guy talking about leverage has them off. Well, I'll go double check it, but that's not what it looks like to me. All right. I mean, I believe you. I'm just saying, I don't know why it would do that. Here we go. Let's do it.
The Michael Duke Show. Not your daddy. Wait, sorry. Not your daddy? Ooh, not your daddy's talk radio. Whew. I was scared for a second. Thought we were going down. Here's Michael Dukes and the show.
Okay. Welcome back to the program. We are continuing now hour 1. Hour 2, we're going to be joined by State Senator Mike Shower. He's going to come on board for the full hour of the power, and it's going to be fun stuff. You're going to enjoy it, or else. I mean, you're going to love it. Sorry, I didn't mean to be quite so stiff. Anyway, before we get into this, I would like to. I don't know. I would just like to. Sorry. Somebody just made a comment in the chat room, which I can't repeat. I would just like to play a little disclaimer. This is kind of a Gen X disclaimer. So for those of you who are a little older than Gen X, you may not, and those who are maybe a little younger than Gen X, you may not identify with this, but I just wanted to tell you where I'm coming from. And I caught this the other day on, I don't know where I was on, YouTube or Facebook or someplace, but it struck me so much that I had to clip it and get a recording of it, because I think that this is kind of like my new, this is my new disclaimer and my new battle cry here for the show. So before we get started on 2 topics, which I'm sure are going to send some of you over the edge, I would like you to hear my disclaimer. Okay.
Oh God, another thing that was crazy about Generation X. I don't even know if you can talk about this anymore, But we did this thing. It's so weird. Okay. It was called critical thinking. And it's so crazy. So basically what you would do, this is like in the old days, you would listen to both sides of a story or a topic or an issue, and then you would make your own, this is crazy, you'd make your own opinion that would then guide you through life.
Okay. So, back in the day, you would make your own, you just get both sides of the story and then make your own opinion. So, that's kind of my new disclaimer on everything that we're going to talk about here, because I'm sure some of you are going to be irritated by what I'm going to say. And that's okay. That's life, man. That's how it comes. So let's take a crack first at the Trump's executive order, which targets the desecration of an American flag. Now, here's the thing. The news media is reporting that you can no longer burn an American flag in protest because now that's an act of criminal, and that's how they're reporting it. But that's not what the language of the order said. The order argues that the court has left open the door to criminal penalties when such acts, in and of themselves, incite violence, amount to fighting words, or otherwise violate content-neutral laws such as fire safety or disorderly conduct regulations. Now, I think that this is I think the president is kind of trying to he's trying to deliver on a campaign promise, right? Because there was he'd made commitments to restore respect and sanctity to the American flag, which is fine. I mean, there's a flag code. Did anybody know that there's a flag code, right? There's a code, U.S. code, that governs the display, use, and everything else of an American flag. If you have an American flag t-shirt, you're probably violating the flag code. If you have something that's made out of or appears to be made out of an American flag, you're probably violating the flag code, right? I'm not saying that we be disrespectful. I'm saying that it is protected speech. And somebody in the chat room said, well, if the boys were just going to go off and fight the Jerrys, wouldn't they, wouldn't you think they'd go off and fight the Jerrys if we told them that we were just going to let commies burn the American flag? I don't know. That's such a hypothetically loaded and charged hypothetical. I don't know. I know that I would fight verbally or physically for the ability for somebody to say what they believe, whether I agreed with it or not. And the idea that the president is basically attempting to find and fill every little nook and cranny outside of what is protected speech and give them the ability to arrest somebody over that seems a little ridiculous to me. Okay? I salute the flag. I believe in Old Glory. I still get that lump in my throat when they sing the national anthem. I still, put my hand over my heart. I still do all those things. But if somebody doesn't feel the same way that I do about the flag, feel that same sense of pride, or feel the same, do I think that they should be imprisoned? Well, the answer to that is no. Now, again, this does not do that specifically. There have to be certain circumstances that you have to, again, incite violence or otherwise violate, like, fire safety. So don't burn your flag in an area where you could be violating fire safety rules or disorderly conduct regulations, because you could be arrested for those charges. That's essentially what they're doing. They're not criminalizing the act in and of itself, but apparently they're criminalizing the circumstances surrounding the act. Now, in 1989, the Supreme Court, the Texas court struck down state laws that were banning the burning of the flag, declaring the government cannot prohibit a person their expression simply because it is offensive or disagreeable. And the new directive from the president tests that boundary by trying and tying enforcement to other criminal conduct or immigration law, because it also authorizes the Department of Justice and Homeland Security and everything else to deny visas, revoke immigration benefits, or pursue deportation of foreign nationals who engage in flag desecration under certain circumstances. I would probably support that component of it. I guess maybe that makes me a bigot, because if you're an American and you want to burn your flag, well, that's your right. But if you're coming in here to stir up trouble, that's something completely different. So maybe it's the totality of circumstances that makes me go in one direction or another. The president wants to restore the respect and sanctity to the American flag, and good for him. But to me, you don't do that by finding every little niggly technicality that you can try and arrest somebody on because they burned an American flag. And I think we get to a dangerous point. We get to a slippery slope, because again, essentially they're not here. Again, I want to be clear. What the president is saying in his order is he would not want to arrest you for burning the flag per se. He'd want to arrest you for burning the flag in an area where fire could get started, or to create disorderly conduct, or if you're trying to incite violence by burning the flag, which again, who decides who's inciting violence, right? It's a very amorphous thing. It's like getting Al Capone on tax evasion, right? You're not effectively making the burning of the flag illegal. You're making all the circumstances around it. If you violate any minor law around it, then it would be illegal. And I look at that and I just go, boy, that's a really slippery slope. When the federal government has that kind of power, or the executive office, because I mean, it's Trump now. But what if it's a Kamala later? What if it's Budapest later? What if it's O'Rourke later, or a Gavin Newsom later doing the same thing? Do we think that those executive orders are going to... I just get really worried about that. I mean, don't you? Shouldn't you be worried about that kind of stuff? If somebody wants to burn an American flag, I mean, I disagree with it. I think it's wrong. I would leave in disgust. But it is their right to protest in that manner. Now, if you burn the American flag and you end up setting a house on fire, well, then you should be liable for that, right? But this just, again, and the thing is that Trump continues to give ammunition to the news media outlets, because then they misreport it. Oh, he's going to outlaw the burning of the American flag. That's not what it did. That's not what... You got to understand what it actually did. But again, this is just me being a libertarian Gen X out here, where I just try and get both sides of the story and then make up my own mind. It's I understand people. There's the whole thing, the whole comment section on Must Read is full of people who are just frothing at the mouth about this, and that people died for the flag and the desecration and the, yes, I understand. That's why I am extremely reverent to the flag myself. That's why, again, I still get the chills. We still, we light the flag when it's on the pole. We don't let it sit in the dark. We don't let it hit the ground. We do all those things because I personally respect it. But I am not going to force my 100% viewpoint at the point of a gun from the government on somebody else, because then it would be a false, right, conversion. I'm not going to do that. But it is, anyway, it's just one of those things where I disagree that this executive order was needed. I mean, you could still penalize, like I said, some guy starts burning an American flag and then drops it into an open cop car and it burns the car down. He's still liable for that. He should be. Not for the burning of the flag per se, but for the setting the police car on fire. That to me would make sense. But to create a whole executive order out, I'm not buying it. All right. I'm sure somebody's upset about that, but we got more to talk about where you'll be even madder. That's coming up next. We're going to talk about this takedown in Palmer at the State Fair. And again, we don't have all the facts. We've got the video and some commentary from witnesses, etc. We'll talk about that here in just a bit. Don't go anywhere. The Michael Dukes Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Back with more right after this.
What is that?
Common sense. Regularly heard on American radio. Michael Dukes Show. Radio.
Okay. Let me see what you guys are doing here. I'm sure everybody is all right. Scrolling down here. This is from before. Yeah, only if the flag burning, if it starts a riot. Yeah, right. That's what you're saying. In other countries, you're put to death for desecration of that country's flags. In other countries, you're also squirreled away and fed through a hole in the wall if you disagree with the fearless leader in public, Miguel. I don't want to be like other countries. I want to be like us. I mean, I want to be like us. I don't want to compare. I don't want you to, compare us and say we should be put to death for desecrating the American flag. No, we shouldn't. As much as I love the flag and respect the flag, I don't believe that that's what should happen. Because that's what makes you a totalitarian state right there. Well, now you're just butchering what I said. No, I was trying to find a comment. I was paraphrasing it from when I read it. But you were asking me if they were going off to fight the Jerrys, but they were only doing it to allow people to burn their flag, how would they feel? How many people would want to go out there and do it? Right? I'm not trying to butcher what you said. I was trying to find the comment. But again, we need to, I think we all need to take a chill pill on that. They don't teach that in school anymore or say the pledge anymore. Yeah, no, exactly. Yes, because all of these people burning the U.S. flag and holding up these other countries' flags, while they wouldn't even think about doing that in their country of origin, because in some, they'll be put to death. Right. I know. They're exercising the rights here in America, which, I mean, while irritating and seemingly hypocritical, why would you be in the land of the free, home of the brave, holding up the flag of a place where you would be killed if you burned it, while burning the American flag. It doesn't make any sense, right? These people are a dichotomy, man. They're dumb. It's dumb. Now I go burn a pride flag and see what's happening to you. You're charged with a hate crime. Can you show me an instance where somebody was actually charged with a hate crime for burning a pride flag? An actual hate crime? Because again, that would be covered under freedom of expression. I love the meaning it holds for me, says Melody. I bleed 100% red, white, and blue. I agree. But again, there is a difference here between somebody who's just doing something to protest something and something who's inciting violence or something else. The local Reddit for the state was pretty entertaining over the executive order. Several let's protest by burning the flag groups starting up. Definitely going to be at least an entertaining FAFO moment to watch. It's true. That's true. You got to admit, says Jeffrey, Trump gets the conversations rolling. He does. That is for sure. 100%. 100%. That he definitely gets, there's always something in there. In all seriousness, without context, the video from Palmer, it's impossible to determine who's in the wrong. The narrative shifts wildly. Let's say if the guy was trying to kidnap the child versus a cop just going into 10th gear Gestapo mode. Yeah, what got me was the kidney punching, right? They got the guy down on the ground and the other officer is just kidney punching the hell out of him. And that was where I had, that's where I had some questions. All right. There we go. Love and defend or get the hell out. Okay. All right. So again, this is where the rubber meets the road, I think, for many people. Because you have to love the flag and respect the flag, but you also have to respect and love the Constitution and the rights long enough to know that other people have to have the right to do what, to protest in the way that they want to protest, as long as they're not inciting violence or destroying somebody else's property, et cetera, et cetera. So there you go. Like I said, it's a hot take. It's a hot take. All right. Yeah. Apollo Creed and Rocky, those were definitely not flag code compliant.
The Michael Duke Show, proudly splitting the left versus right dichotomy. Yeah, I had to look that word up too. I don't think it means what he thinks it means. Here he is, though. That guy, Michael Dukes, the one with the show.
Okay, getting ready to tackle. I'm still fighting with the chat room. We're not fighting. We're having disagreements. Because it's a hard thing, right? I mean, if you believe in America and you believe in what she stands for, you believe the flag is a symbol of sacrifice and greatness. You believe it's a symbol of all that have gone before to help us remain as free as we are today, et cetera, et cetera. It's a hard, bitter pill to swallow to say, part of that freedom is the ability to do things that other people disagree with. And it's a tough situation. But that's where the rubber meets the road. When you fight for somebody else's right to disagree with you, that's the tough one. That's the tough one for sure. Well, I'll tell you something that I was not that I definitely have questions on is this video of the arrest of 22-year-old Jeffrey Cook Reed at the Alaska State Fair, the Palmer Fairgrounds. This video came out, it was Monday. Police in Palmer now, the Palmer Police Department said they're reviewing the incidents which happened on Sunday evening as the fair was in full swing. And the video shows Palmer police officers wrestling with a man holding a toddler before forcibly removing the child and then violently subduing the father. Now, there was, again, there's video of this, and I can't play a single second of this video because there's so much foul language in it. I would immediately get an FCC violation, right? Because the whole thing would be a beep, 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 beep. I mean, that's what it would sound like. It would sound like Morse code. But you can go out and watch the video. There's a video. The ADN actually links a video of the TikTok video that's out there. And the video shows the officers grappling with Cook Reed and the child in his arms before removing the child and the toddler and putting Reed in a chokehold. Now, that's a mild way of putting it, because in watching the video, and again, I watched the video just before the show again. I watched it again this morning just before the show to make sure that my memory was fresh on this. He's having a conversation with 3 police officers, 2 in the foreground, 1 in the background. Somebody is catching this on, they're videoing something else, and they start, I don't know, it's that spidey sense. They start to sense a disturbance, and they swing the camera over and they catch this. And he's having a conversation. He has his daughter in his arms, and he's having this conversation with him. And you could see basically that he's a little irritated. He doesn't look like he's necessarily aggressive, but he basically is kind of, his attitude was, I'm heading out. I'm going to. And in the news story, it says that he had told them that he was taking his daughter out to her mother, that he was attempting to leave with the child and trying to return her to her mother, apparently, who was outside in the parking lot. He said he was walking out the fair gate to return the baby to her mother when other family members in the area caused a commotion that triggered the police call that sent officers his way. Now, the police said that that there was a disturbance at the Purple Gate at the fair, and a caller who called into 911 described Cook Reed as walking away with a baby while screaming and yelling, and said he had been drinking. They also told the dispatcher that Cook Reed was threatening people and attempting to leave with the child and appeared to be harming the child. Now, again, the fact that I have so many questions. The fact that Cook Reed said he was walking out the gate to return the baby to her mother when other family members in the area caused a commotion that triggered the police call. You know what this sounds like to me? This is like a domestic dispute of family members calling the cops on each other and escalating it to this point. Right? That's what it sounds like to me based on the outside. And again, this guy starts walking by, he wasn't running. He had the baby in his arms, and immediately they start to grab at him and jostle him. And then they are basically, it's a scrum. It's like a rugby scrum right there. 2 large guys and a woman against this. He's a pretty slight guy. He's probably whip strong. I'm sure he's probably wiry and strong, but with a baby in his arms, with a 20-month-old baby in his arms. And essentially, the female officer strips the baby away from him, and then they pile drive him into the ground, tase him, kidney punch him over and over and over again, tase him again. I mean, it's pretty brutal. Now, somebody said, well, he was wanted on a warrant. $300 warrant for failure to appear in court. He failed to appear in a court hearing on a 4th-degree assault charge. In a statement, he said that he had I'm looking for his court filings indicate he was arrested in February after confronting a woman at a Palmer apartment while he looked for her daughter. He pounded on the door and cursed at her and tried unsuccessfully to push his way in. A judge issued an arrest warrant in April. That same month, in a bid to quash the warrant, he said he misunderstood the court date and had to work. He appeared in mid-June hearings. Filings indicated the warrant was reissued this month after he didn't appear for the pre-trial conference. So, and he believed that the warrant was quashed, was one of the things that he said. Anyway, I don't know. There's a lot of questions here, but my question is, when you have somebody who you have essentially not surrounded, but you got them in a good, and they've got a baby, and he says he wants to return, don't you think maybe you would wait for backup or wait for somebody else to come take the baby before you physically assault him and then try and strip the, I don't know. I have been watching way too many audit the audit videos on YouTube. Okay. Which if you haven't seen these videos, there is just there's just no more de-escalation, right? It just seems like there's very little de-escalation that takes place these days. And I know I'm broad brushing it to a huge extent, but it just seems like the first answer is always, if you don't do what I say, I'm immediately going to pull you from your car, beat you down, and tase you. Now that's not what happens every time, but sometimes it sure feels like it. And I hope we come out with some good. I hope this investigation, because the Palmer Police Department is doing their own investigation, I hope we come out with some recommendations. I would like to see something like, maybe we should have de-escalated this. Maybe we should have brought in more officers. Maybe we should have, escorted him to the parking lot where the mother was or wherever to give the baby up. And then we could, try and escort him or take him into custody. I don't know. It just felt like a little bit of overkill, in my opinion. Now, somebody will say, well, he didn't comply. Well, I couldn't really hear what the officers were saying. I couldn't hear what the officers were saying as he slowly, and he wasn't yelling or screaming. He looked irritated, but he just looked like, okay, look, I'm just going to go. And that's when all hell broke loose. And so, if you would just comply, if I would just comply, again, it just reminds me of the Yehuda Remmer. If I would just comply and get in the cattle car, it'd be fine. No, wait a minute. That came out wrong. But I mean, right? At some point, I am so anti-authoritarian. It's painful sometimes. All right, we got to go. The Michael Duke Show. Common Sense Radio, Hour 2, dead ahead. Mike Shower. Charlie says, my question is, what happened to complying with the orders of a police officer? I don't know. Were they clear at orders? Was it just they were asking him questions? I don't know, because I couldn't hear. You couldn't hear the officers. So I don't know if there were clear and arguable orders. Now, I'm sure they've got body cam footage, so we'll figure it out down the road here. Chris said he was arguing with someone at the fair before the cops got involved in a verbal attack. Well, again, and it was being reported that it was family members. Ain't nobody more vicious than family members, right? So I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that the takedown was fairly brutal with a small child in the arms, and maybe somebody should have thought that through a little bit more, I guess is what I'm saying. That's my take. I believe police are necessary, but I also believe that if somebody has been given that much authority and power over you, that we need to hold them to a higher level of accountability. And the fact that sometimes you see some of these police officers, not necessarily just in this video, but in other, instances where this stuff has been recorded, where people maybe exercise their rights to, remain silent or not to answer a question or whatever. and you see that they lose their mind because their authority is being bucked. 2 points, says Anthony. First, hindsight is always 20/20. But if you look at the information the LEOs had and the circumstances, you have to assume that there was a perceived threat to the child that required immediate intervention potentially. Not saying it's right, but I can digest it. 2, the perceived use of force may appear excessive once he was down, but if he was drunk and wiry strong and not complying with the commands, what options do you have at that point? Valid and fair points, both. Valid and fair points, Anthony. And again, like I said, we don't have all the information. And again, my criticism is probably colored by all the videos that I've watched on the internet of a little, police brutality. Anyone have a link to the video? Well, it's on the Anchorage. Let's see. Here it is right here. There you go. There's the TikTok thing. If you want to get to it there. Okay. Hope to unalive one. That's great, John. Thank you. All right. Let's see. What is going on here? Let's get Mike Shower on the line, shall we? Let's do it to it. Here we go. Hello. Hello. Can you hear me now?
Sure. I can.
You can hear me now. All right. You ready to rock and roll?
It is. I've ever been.
Have you been listening to what we've been talking about just out of curiosity, or you just?
No, man. I was sleeping trying to make sure I told you I got to fly to Asia.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well,
get some good sleep.
So you're trying to get that extra hour of sleep in right before you got to fly out the world. So, all right.
That's right.
Well, we'll be good. We were just talking about this Palmer police takedown of this guy with a kid and everything. And I mean, I have questions, kind of thing. And anyway, it's an interesting thing, but we're going to riff about whatever it is that you want to riff about today, man. This is your world. I'm just living in it. We're just gonna see what you have to say. How about that?
Okay, that sounds good.
Sounds good. You maybe go grab some coffee in the.
You're telling me to wake up more? I'm not energetic enough.
You're just like you're trying to. Yeah. Okay. I'm up. I'm awake. Stop bugging me. I'm awake. Stop bugging me.
That's right.
It's right. Stop getting me going on. All right. All right. I'll be right back to you here in just a second. Don't go anywhere. Okay. All right. I got you on hold now. Mike Shower is our guest. Let's see. Almost forgot to mention Cracker Barrel reversed course. Yeah. I mean, cancel culture works both ways, apparently, is what I got to say to that. I mean, the whole thing seems just highly kind of bizarre to me. I could really care less what Cracker Barrel. I don't think I've ever eaten at Cracker Barrel. I think that's part of the thing. I don't think I've ever actually eaten at a Cracker Barrel. So do I care? Not really. But everybody's got their own little thing. We'll see what it is. Mike, Shower, oh, okay. All right. Just getting everything all squared away. Mike, when you wake up, this is Rick in the chat room is asking Mike, when you wake up, give us your thoughts on flag burning. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what's going on. All right, here we go. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Like and share, subscribe, ring the bell, do all that stuff. Here we go. Hour 2 is right now. Let's go.
Buddy, put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
That was just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show, streaming live across the world.
Live around the world on the internet at michaeldukeshow.com and across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator. Good morning, my friends. Welcome back to the program, hour 2 of the big radio show. Time now for the Shower Hour of Power. That's a full hour with State Senator Mike Shower, who joins us right now from an undisclosed secret location that is mere inches from his bed, I'm sure. That's what's going on right now. He joins us this morning. He could see the coffee pot from here, but he can't quite reach it. He joins us.
Smell it.
I can smell it. We're ready to go. And you know what? We just thought we would just have like a free-for-all Wednesday, just like a hump day, headlines, things you want to talk about, and just catch up with Mike Shower. How are you, my friend? What's happening?
Oh, I'm just busy hunting and that kind of stuff. This time of year, just fall, getting ready for winter as it approaches, just that kind of stuff, It's a busy time, man.
Yeah,
It's in between fishing and the hunting and just regular work and all that. There's lots going on.
What did you just get back from a hunt? Somebody mentions how was your hunt, so I'm assuming you were out on a big hunt. What were you doing?
Michelle and I did go on a hunt, and we were successful. We did get a moose, so we were pretty excited. It's been about, it's between work and everything and not being able to make it just function, how schedules line up and weather. I haven't been on a hunt in about 4 or 5 years since I've shot a moose.
Wow.
So it was a good hunt, and we finally filled the freezer up because we were running out of it. So we're pretty excited.
Nice.
So yeah, we did good, and I have not fished once this summer. That's how busy I have been. And however, fortunately, because as you remember, a few years ago they started opening Fish Creek up here again in Matsu, and Michelle and Mikey and his girlfriend were able to go out and have a good day towards the end of that might have even been the last day it was open. And they got a whole bunch of fish. So they were all, even though I wasn't here for it, they got some fish and we got some moose. And so the garden is coming due now with the tomatoes and the apples and all the stuff. So, like I said, it's cool and it's a lot of fun, but it's just like, oh gosh, it's a lot of work. So.
Yeah, a lot of work. And now you get a chance to fill the freezer and reap your rewards from that, right?
That's right. That's right. Because then it tastes good all winter long.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. A quick question, moose hunting question. Do you take the tongue?
Say that again? Oh, no. We don't typically do that. Some people have talked about it. It's not really been Michelle's thing. She likes the heart and the liver from kind of the organ perspective. A lot of people don't harvest them, but she likes them because she freeze dries them for the dogs.
Oh,
so they really
that's
kind of the
yeah. Well, we always when I was a kid and I haven't been hunting in 15 years, I think. But when I was a kid, we would always, and growing up, we would always, we'd take the heart for sure, because we would do my dad would do stuffed heart, with stuffing and everything. It was delicious. We'd always bring a pound of bacon and 2 big onions, and we'd cook up a bunch of the liver there in camp. It would never make it out of camp because there's so much liver, it'd never make it back.
Right.
But we'd always take the tongue, because you'd pickle it. You'd use pickling spices and you boil it and you make tongue sandwiches. And those are so good, so tasty. It's been so long since I had somebody actually heard me talk about it one day on the air in Fairbanks, and they brought me a fresh tongue that they had gotten the day before on a moose hunt when they came back, and that was the last time that I had that I've had moose tongue, but absolutely delicious. Yeah, there's all different kinds of things. I've eaten just about everything you can eat on a moose at least once just to try it. But there's nothing quite like that fresh liver in camp right after you killed it with bacon and onions and everything else. It's absolutely delicious.
Well, you said the magic word, Michael. I mean, bacon. You could add bacon to dirt, I think, and it would taste good.
Well, I mean, I like liver in general. I mean, I kind of like liver in, every now and then Terry will make up a mess of liver, but it's always better with bacon. I mean, it's, just something about it.
It always is, man. It's just like I said, I when I got up here first time in '93, and Michelle and I was mostly a fisherman. I mean, I grew up in Florida. I left at 18, like it's told you, never went back. But I grew up on the beach or close to the beach, and I fished a lot. My grandfather was a merchant marine, and taught me how to sail and fish and spear, all that stuff. And so fishing was the thing, and I loved fishing, and it was great. And then got up here, and had never really hunted before, and it was like a switch just flipped, and it went from I still like fishing, but it's like, once you get kind of hit by the hunting bug, it's like hard to let go. And it's all about hunting now. Like I fish, and to fill the freezer and, occasionally go chase a silver is a lot of fun. But I gotta tell you, man, I'm more into the hunting side of things completely. And it's kind of like when hunting season's over, like a football fanatic or something, like the Super Bowl's like
it's a
only
letdown.
182 days until football starts again.
Right, exactly. It's the letdown of, oh man, it's so great.
Only 11 months until the next hunting season.
Yeah, no, man. Yeah, no, it's good stuff. Well, I'm glad you got a chance to relax a little bit and let down and wind down. This next year is going to be a mess, my friend. I don't know if you've seen the latest from with what Brad was talking about, Brad Keithley, but the IAE and the EIA reporting on oil pricing and what they're predicting right now, that oil is going to be down in Q1 of next year. They're saying that it's going to be that West Coast is going to be down in the mid 40s, which means ANS will be in the high 40s, low 50s. And I mean, we're already facing a massive deficit at $66 a barrel, let alone if it gets down into the low 50s. I mean, as you look at this from afar and you think about what's going to be happening in the next 3 months, and you look at the commentary from some of the people and like the teachers unions and some of the other things, and the school board presidents and superintendents who are saying, well, it's a good start, but we really need more. What's your thought as you look at the upcoming session? What is the first thing that crosses your mind?
They want more money. I mean, Michael, that's what the argument has always been. They simply want more money. The governor, spoke to me just before the special session, just to let me know as the minority leader in the Senate that we were going to have a special session. And, and I asked him, what's your, goal? And he's like, I'm willing to restore the $200 and not, let the veto kind of go away on the $200 and the $700 BSA increase. I just want to see some more policy. All right, fair enough. Fine, we'll give it a shot. I said, I don't think you're going to get much because the majorities in both bodies, mostly controlled by Democrats. Completely controlled by Democrats, but they just want the money. And there's some Republicans in there too. They just want the money. They don't care about, some of them don't care about policy at all. They give lip service to it, but they don't really mean it. What they want is the money. And so, Michael, we have been saying this. You have been saying it for years. Brad, myself, others. I've been saying it. Said it on the floor. Myers. We've all been saying it. That are listening. That we are going to break the bank. We have never. And I'm going to go back to that same tired old kick the dead horse talking point. We will not enact a solid spending plan, a fiscal policy that would prevent us from being here. It's almost too late. In some ways, it probably is. We've now locked in this extra spending. It wasn't just a one-time BSA increase. They not only did we do it, they locked it into the formula now. So they've got their money, Michael. This is kind of like Mondami down in New York going, I'm going to give free everything to everybody. Really, pal? Where's the money come from? Because nothing is free. It's coming from somewhere. You're starting to see an exodus. You're hearing about it, billionaires and multi-millionaires leaving the state of New York who pay for well over half of the city's bills. Why would you stay around when you know this communist, because that's really what he is, right? A communist Marxist Muslim is going to come in and enact these policies? Why would you stay there when you know he's coming after you? Because the only way he can pay for the free stuff is to take it from somebody. Well, that's where we're headed. We've been trying to tell everybody that, Michael. Look at the policy. You got people that want more money still, and they want defined benefits. Heck, one of the guys that's already in the race in my seat is all about defined benefits, right? Imagine if that person was to get elected, and then there goes your off to the side, your votes for the defined benefits, and we just overrode the governor's veto, right? It didn't matter. The minority wasn't enough. I mean, there was only 3 of us out of the entire 20 people in the Senate,
right?
And not even enough with the more Republicans in the House. It's just, I'm looking at it and going, Michael, what do you think is going to happen when we're statutory PFD? We're 50-50. No, we're 75-25. No, wait, we're 86-14. We're 92-8. Yeah. We're 100. No, baby, we're heading that way.
No,
that's not going on.
Well, see, that leads me to the next question. I mean, this is the perfect segue, because again, when we had this PFD, which is the lowest PFD in history when you adjust it for inflation, this $1,000 PFD they were getting this year. When you look at that amount, the $1,000 for every person that you're only talking about $500-600 million. That's it, right? That's
650. Something like that.
Okay, 650. Okay, so 650. We have a 1.8 to 2.4, depending on where the oil prices lie, 1.8 to 2.4 billion dollar deficit. They could take all of the PFD and there's still $1 billion to $1.5 billion in the hole.
But wait, Michael, wow. There's more.
There's more.
They want defined benefits for all their friends in the state government. They want more education spending. That's where it's going. Look, the people that listen to your program regularly, they get it. They understand. In some ways, they're activists, a lot of them, because they pay attention, they listen. I understand that. I'm not saying anything new to most of the people listening. They get it. It's the average Alaskan that is too busy working, and I'm not even saying it as a spear. I'm saying they're just busy working, raising their kids, living life. A lot of people just don't pay attention to the politics until it comes up and bites them in the rear end, in their wallet, or there's some big thing like an SB 91 crime bill that's affecting everybody. Then the public consciousness is raised. I don't know how, as you have been struggling for decades now, to get this message to enough Alaskans to go, do you see what your legislature is doing? There's a handful of us. What are we down to now? About 15 out of 60 that even upheld the governor's veto to go, no, we need to have a discussion about this. This isn't going to work. Not only does the money matter, because that's important, right? You got to balance the books, which we're not. And its policy matters too, though. We know that. I mean, we repealed SB 91. Yay, we knew that was an important thing. We got a Reads by 9 Act. That's an important thing, a good policy that we know. But things like that are not really happening. But what is happening that they keep promising is money. So who controls the state? If the average Alaskan does not know what's going on because they're too busy living, too busy working, too busy making things happen, that it's only a handful of activists on the right, and especially a lot more on the left, because they're very grassroots and organized that way, and the press is on their side, and you got all the big unions for the most part that are totally on board with this because they want the money that flows through state employees into their pockets, right, into the coffers of the unions. They know where the power is, the money and the power. If you can't raise that public consciousness, what's going to keep happening, Michael? The same thing. Yeah. Because most Alaskans don't feel it, don't see it, except for the PFD. But like many other of the issues we're facing in this country, you kind of have PFD fatigue, right? People have been beating their heads against the wall, screaming about it, trying to say how important it is, $2 billion bump in the private sector. But again, we're such a broken record. It's so frustrating because you wish you could do something. But it's the same thing. Like, our focus is all on the public sector in this state. It's all about government. The legislature for the most part, not every person, obviously, but as a whole, is all about big government. It's all about big spending. It's nothing to do with the private sector. They don't even hardly ever talk about it. And a lot of these are people that are supposed to be Republican, that is supposed to be small government, and they're voting and going with that way. So I mean, it's people do what they do. It's their vote is their vote.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Michael, we have to be able to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting with the finance co-chairs talking about this. You know, they came and talked to me a little more as a minority leader. They just wanted to keep you informed. And I appreciate that. We'd have frank discussions, and I'd sit with the ledge finance director, who's a pretty straight shooter on stuff. And I'm just looking at the numbers and going, and they would acknowledge it. This last session, we'd sit and talk about it. They didn't. They left. Well, that's at X dollars a barrel. And I'm looking at them going, well, you got defined benefits coming, and they want more education. They're just looking at me, shaking their head to go, where's the money going to come from? Where is it?
Yeah.
The only other option you have, once you've taken every penny of the PFD, and that's the trajectory we are on very quickly, is that you're going to have to either raise taxes on your people, the citizen, the private sector, which in Alaska is anemic, or you're going to have to crack into the actual permanent fund itself to pay these bills we can't afford.
Right. Which is one of
the options.
Yeah.
Well, there is nothing else.
Which is one of the tacks that they're taking. This is why they've been talking about combining the funds, because then they want access to the corpus, because that's the only way they're going to be able to afford to pay for this. And if you start talking about overdrawing the fund by upwards of $500 million to $1 billion a year, it doesn't take very many years before all of a sudden you've eaten the seed corn. You've strangled the golden goose that lays the golden eggs, and all of a sudden you're in a doom loop.
Right. Well, remember that too. That's true. But you're also, as things go, it's kind of like your 401k, right? Once you start taking from the principal of your 401k, well, next year you actually have a little less money because you're making less money because your seed corn is smaller. So you're right about the seed corn, but people got to remember, it's not like, oh, well, we're going to take $1 billion and we'll be okay, and we'll take $1 billion the next year. What's going to happen is you're going to take $1 billion, but next year you're going to have only $980 million. And then, because you ate your seed corn, the year after that, you're going to take that extra billion. Then you're only going to have, $600 million. The point is what you have in interest, because you're taking away from your principal. And again, I'm not saying anything that the average adult doesn't really know, but it's just sometimes we have to illuminate the argument, is that you're going to have less available every year because you are eating the principal of it. And so again, back to the same flush yourself down the toilet bowl, right? Is like, we're already finding ourselves where we don't have enough money, and we crack into the permanent fund corpus, the principal. Then you're going to have less money for the more money that you need to pay for the state that we clearly can't afford. And when you listen to some of the Democrats in the Senate that should know better, they get up and say, oh, this state hasn't grown. You notice they don't say the state hasn't grown. Their words are specific. They say spending hasn't grown if you include inflation. I'm like, oh yeah. Okay. So we're going to parse the words now. I see what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
And of course, the Alaska news source is going to pick up that go. Senator Muckety Muck from Anchorage, the longtime Democrat, says that spending has been flat.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you be honest about the fact that if state government hasn't grown, if spending on state government hasn't grown, then why are we taking ever more money from the permanent fund dividend of the earnings to actually pay for state government? Why are we talking about taxes to pay for state government? We wouldn't be having the discussion about all this, Michael, if it was a government that was right sized that we could afford. Yep. Obviously, it is not.
100%. Mike Showers, our guest. We're up against the break. We got more coming up. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Don't go anywhere.
Running on 100% pure beard power. Oh, also some coffee. We dip our beard in coffee.
Nice beard.
The Michael Duke Show.
David just said in the chat room, maybe we should just sell the Panhandle to Canada and then get a new capital on the road system. maybe that would fix it. I don't know. Well, again, this whole thing is just it's about ignoring the truth, and the truth is is that you can't continually spend more than you take in and expect that it's all going to work out. And that's where we're at. We've been spending more than we've been taking in for 25 years. That's what's been happening. 25 years. We've basically been doing that since the early 2000s, and especially under Parnell and company, where we spent billions of dollars out of our savings instead of looking at stuff and going, maybe we should pull our horns in a little bit here. Maybe we should reduce the spending instead of drawing $3 or $4 billion out of savings every year for 3 or 4 years. Maybe we should, and no, instead we basically, we spent all 13, 14, 15 billion dollars out of savings, and we found ourselves back to where we are right now, which is completely upside down with no PFD and no real prospects on fixing it, and still no political will to shrink the size of government. Right, Mike?
Yeah. That is the facts, Jack. And that's the problem, Michael. I always say the problem. It's a problem because we have many and we have several, but that is one of them. And I went through the numbers. I'm going to pull it up here for you. I got to find it, but I had that one that I shared with you, and it was a screenshot because you're talking about the amount of money, and it is a lot that we have spent over time out of our savings. And it was 13 billion here, 18 billion on that one. I forget what it is, but I did the math on all this stuff. And remember what I told you, it was the better part of like $30 billion we've overspent just in the last 15 years. As I was going early 20 teens. I'll find it before the program's over. I'm just trying to multitask and do a terrible job. But it's not a few billion. It's not even 5 or 6 or 7, 8 billion, which would be bad enough. It's the better part of $30 billion that we have overspent, while certain legislators from Anchorage and other places have stood up and told us we're not overspending, all is well. But do you remember, you and I love our movie quotes, Animal House, and the guy that was in Footloose, I forget his name, Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, Kevin.
He was the ROTC Army guy. He was like the strict Army guy in the movie.
Right.
And at the end of the scene, they've got the parade going, and they're in the Batmobile car or whatever. He goes, ramming speed. And then there's chaos around him, and Kevin Bacon is standing in the street. He's like, everybody remain calm. All is well. And the world is just falling around. That's what I feel like sometimes. It's like, all is well. Don't worry. It's
all
pandemonium around you.
Right.
It's all
going to work out, right? Hey, no, but Mike, don't worry. SB 113 is going to save us all, right? I mean, that's going to, and nobody's going to feel that. That's the unicorn tax. I mean, what's going on with SB 113?
Oh God, remind me, Michael. I got to think about 147 last night. I have to call somebody. Which one was 113? There's so many bills.
That's the
now.
unicorn. That's the Wilikowski unicorn tax, right? On internet stuff, right? Isn't that the one that has the contingency for the education? I think that's the one, right?
I'm just, Michael, it's like so many things here. It's like, remember, it's not going to hurt anybody, and it's never going to be, I heard him say it, it's never going to get passed along to the consumer, because taxes never get passed along to the average American and the private citizen and the consumer. The companies just take it as a charitable hit because they feel bad for the consumer. So don't worry, it's never going to increase your prices. Those people down south that have businesses, Michael, that have to ship up to Alaska where they haven't had to pay that tax, they're not going to increase the price of shipping or their product to Alaskans.
We're not going to feel it.
They're going to eat it as a charitable donation. That's how companies operate, Michael. Don't you know that? The leftists try to tell you that, and the Democrats all the time. Companies operate like a charity.
Yeah.
They don't need to make a profit. I mean, come on, man. Don't you guys understand this?
All right, 10 seconds.
10
10 seconds. We're going to get back into it. Here we go. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty. I think we should start off with that again. I'm going to stir you up here. Here we go. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Like, share, subscribe.
Public enema number one. Oh, wait, sorry. Public enemy number one, which makes more sense. On the other hand, he's a little bit of a pain in the Michael Duke Show.
Oh, yeah, pain in the something or other. Hello, welcome back to the program. The Michael Duke Show continues. I don't want it to all be doom and gloom. I mean, we've got some great news on the horizon. I mean, SB 113, Mike, that's going to save us all. That's the unicorn tax. That's the tax that generates millions of dollars, but nobody has to pay for it. Right? I mean, nobody's going to feel the pain on this. The consumers don't have to pay for it. I mean, it's going to be and there's a bunch of school funding that's contingent on this too, right? I mean, this is the internet tax. So where is 113? I thought it's supposed to be going on right now. Aren't we rolling in dough because of that?
Let's go for the first precept because you got it there. Spending equals taxation. You're going to spend the money, you're going to have to raise taxes. See what you just did there? You tied them together. Oh, we're going to spend more money in the schools, but it means we're going to have to raise taxes to do that. And as you and I were ranting, I'm not falling for it twice. As you and I were ranting in the break, it's very clear, right, that companies, as we were being somewhat sarcastic, so a sarcastic alert for people, sarcasm, is that companies are charitable, Mikey. They're not going to actually have to raise prices on Alaskans for shipping their products way up here. If the state of Alaska is going to collect taxes, they're not going to raise taxes on the consumer.
No.
Companies don't do that. They're going to go, Alaskans are way up there and shipping and the cost of goods is very expensive. Let's not raise the price of our products and just take it out of what we need to survive as a company because that's what we do. You notice I was quiet there.
Yeah, no, Mike.
Because people are supposed to go, wait a minute.
Yeah, no.
Hold on.
I think you're.
I don't think it works that way.
Yeah, I think you're wrong, Mike. I mean, it can't be. I mean, it's all going to be great and pie in the sky and puppies and everybody gets a butterfly. I mean, this is the answer.
Michael, there's no such thing as. I mean, there is a hidden tax, but let's be honest about it. It's not hidden. It's out there. It's going to raise prices. Every taxation bill does because that's what it does. It takes money from somebody and it gives it to somebody else. That's how taxation works. That's why many people call taxation theft. I, love or hate the theory. I can live with some tax because we've already got plenty, right? Because we're not, we are in property taxes and gas taxes and all kinds of other taxes we already pay. You look at your phone bill or your electric bill or your gas bill. There's tons of little taxes hidden away there too, right? Look at your credit card. Every time you go to your credit card, you don't say, the convenience of it. It's like 3% extra, fee because they got to pay that to the credit card company. The banks, right, are making money, hundreds of billions, really, because of so much credit card use in the United States that banks just make for free for the convenience of giving you a piece of plastic. Michael, we're taxed through the nose on things all the time, but people just don't really see it.
Right. Well,
it's direct as they would a sales tax or income tax.
Well, it's the PFD tax, right? I mean, it's the PFD tax. It's not technically a tax, but it has the effect of a tax. It's essentially a stealth tax. We're taking 2/3 of your PFD every year, and you just don't see it, so you don't necessarily directly feel it. Whereas if they'd given you the full PFD and then issued you a tax bill for the $2,500 out of your PFD, people would be like, "Whoa, wait a second, what?"
Let's be clear. You don't feel it yet. Now some people that are paying attention do because we've made the numbers. Brad Keithley talks about, you and others often, I have, that the people that are in the middle, so basically below the median income average, which is about $77,000, $78,000 a year right now in Alaska, ballpark, statewide, not every district the same. That's about the median average income right now for a family, which I'm looking at that going, that's going to be awful hard to survive on. I mean, you and I both know we can go to, Fred Meyer's or Cars and buy 2 bags of groceries and walk out $200 later and go, what the heck do I even have in here? I mean, it feels like I got nothing, right? So you add that to the gas price going up for natural gas, and you add that to the electric price. I mean, look what Juliet's Electric's doing. Oh, by the way, we're going to round up your bill with our left-wing board, and we're going to give it to these charities. You know who's going to get it.
Yeah.
It's going to be left-of-center charities. This is how they're going to get their money that USAID dried up when the Trump administration said enough of that garbage. We know where this money is going. So the point is, Michael, these are all taxes to say we're not taxed. But the reason I said not yet that people know it is because the first people that are more in the middle that are kind of getting by with or without it, they can live with the PFD. It's nice to have, but it's not like important if you're like very poor and it's a huge percentage of your income that every year that would bump you up and help you survive the winter. Well, a lot of people just, you survive without it, and so be it. Like you and I were doing okay, right? It's nice to have, but you don't have to have it. So you don't see it yet. But what's coming once we use all of the dividend, and they are going to be reluctant to crack into the corpus, because not only is that going to look really, really bad in front of the people that they want to vote for them to stay in office, but it's also, there are people that are looking at it going, well, once we start eating the seed corn, the problem gets exponentially worse, right? From what we were talking about before. So what's the next step when you have locked in all of this spending that they don't want to have to admit to their voters that they have now done, and they don't want to crack into the principle? What is left, Michael, to make things function for the bills that we now have to pay? What's the option we have left?
It's pure taxation, right? It's up in your face taxation, right?
That's what's coming. It's going to be income tax. It's going to be sales tax. It's going to be property taxes for the boroughs and the municipalities that aren't getting as much money from the state. The taxation, brother, is coming to this state. We have been sounding that clearing call, you and I and others, for years here, without enacting a comprehensive fiscal policy that would include a spending cap that would have prevented the overspending that got us here, because they would have had to have a BSA, defined benefits, all these other things would have had to be in line with that cap. Well, we don't have that. So we can just arbitrarily come in and all of a sudden say, oh, well, we don't have the money. Well, you had money for the better part of $250 million education spending bill without blinking an eye. You got money apparently to spend hundreds of millions, what's going to end up being billions of dollars, for going back to an archaic defined benefit program they know we can't afford. So you see how we don't have money to spend on the PFD or the private sector, but we got plenty of money to spend on the state, apparently.
Well, that's the important part. That's
deficit spending.
Yeah.
Right? We're in deficit spending. We know we're $1 billion plus short or more, depending on the price of oil, to depend on it. But they have no problem spending hundreds of millions of new dollars of spending on more government. It doesn't, Michael, it doesn't add up. It never has. It's not going to. It's like, again, I'm the broken record. I know I don't want to be gloom and doom either, but goodness gracious, you started it. And,
yeah,
we have to talk about it, because that's just, and I did find the number just so people know. We talked about it at the end of the session. I brought up, here's the savings that we had as of 2013. We had $17 billion in the SBR, CBR combined. The ERA, we had $13 billion. We inflation-proofed $8 billion. The CBR, SBR, ERA, as of this is the end of the session a few months ago, it's a little different now, had $6 billion. So do the math, that's 16, 17 billion we spent, plus 24 billion that we can find of extra COVID money flew into this state that we can't even account for it all. We still don't know where all that money went. So add that together. What's that? 30, 40 billion?
Yeah.
In the last 15 years that we have spent, because the COVID money wasn't expected, and another, 16, 17, 18 billion out of our savings account. Again, a little bit was inflation proof. The rest was just spent on state government. People keep telling you listen to them. The Democrats and others and some Republicans, we haven't spent, we haven't increased. Well, I'm giving you the pure numbers. That's $40 billion. Where did it go then?
Yeah. Where did it go?
You tell me.
And now that we've become accustomed to spending at that level, and we've created all these programs, including like all the optional Medicare programs and stuff we haven't even talked about the fact that now that the big beautiful bill has cut some of that stuff. What does that mean? Is the state going to have to step in and pick up some of that cost? Is the state going to be able to walk away from some of that? Or is that going to be another $600 or $700 million that they're going to have to pick up there on top of the BSA increase, on top of the potential for defined benefits, on top of this next session is going to be a train wreck. When they look at it and realize there is no more money, there will be no more PFD. This will be the last PFD we get. I'm putting my money on that right now, that this will be the last PFD that we get. Maybe I'll hedge a little bit and say substantive. Maybe we get $200 next year. Good luck.
Yeah. They'll give you something that'll let you go to Fred Meyer's one time for 2 bags of groceries.
Exactly. Good luck. And then after that, it'll be gone. When you have a $2 billion deficit, and by taking all the PFD, you'd only recoup 650 million of it. Well, then there's going to have to be something else. And there is no will to cut the size and scope of government. We've seen that.
No, not in Juneau. Not in Juneau. There is no will to cut because, as I've told you before, I've had a couple, one specific older one told me, he's like, Mike, if you don't spend money, then you have no constituency, state, money on state government, basically, that kind of stuff. And, I've said how others have told me, oh, Mike, I just got elected. I got 3 years to apologize to the people. They'll forget how I voted, whatever. And, I don't know, Michael. It's just it's a vicious cycle. It really is. I mean, moving the Capitol was not the Capitol. You can't say that. That's too expensive. Moving the legislative session to the road would probably help. At least it would help better people serve and have a chance to serve, because a lot of mid-level, when I say mid-level, like 30s, 40s, 50s, that we would want to get in there and serve, that were especially some private sector business people, not government employees their entire life that have done nothing but be in the government, really. You need some private sector people that know how to balance a checkbook and how to have to, pay their expenses and have to not overdo it with the customers, because they'll go out of business. The government can't go out of business, right? It's too big to fail. So government says, well, we spend too much, we're just going to take more. Well, a business can't do that. A private sector business has to have a product that can be affordable by the people, or they're in trouble, right? Remember that whole charitable thing we just talked about a minute ago with, 113, where they go, oh, no, don't worry. This isn't going to raise the price of, goods coming up here. We're just going to collect a charity tax from those businesses. They're just going to eat it. Like when you raise property taxes, get the man, because he's not going to turn around and raise prices on those people that are renting from him.
Right.
He's just going to take it out of his pocket as a feel good. Hey, come on, guys. I mean, moving the session would help, sure. But it's just, I don't know, Michael, do we have to be like somebody that's an addict that has to hit absolute rock bottom and lose everything before you finally go into therapy and get help and start fixing it? I don't know. Sometimes I feel like we're just going to have to crash and burn hard as a state government and just destroy it in a way, run it up against the rocks on the, at the lighthouse, and start sinking before you, because sometimes I just look at people and I'm looking at them, I'm shaking my head. I'm like, what do you not see here? How do you not understand where you are taking us as a body of government in this direction? And it's just,
how do you not understand basic math, right? And that's what it comes down to. And what the problem is that we have a legislature that is engaged in all the spending, but we have a constituency, we have an electorate that's just not paying attention. They're just not. They're so busy, and they trust that, leave it to. But when the yogurt hits the fan, oh man, what's going to happen then? It's going to be crazy. All right, we got to go. One final segment dead ahead. The Michael Duke Show continues. Mike Shower is our guest. The Shower Hour of Power wraps up right after this.
Listened to by more staffers in Juneau than any other show, because their bosses told them to. And after what they just heard, oh man, they're going to be pissed.
You're a bad, bad man.
The Michael Duke Show.
Okay, we're in the break. Mike Shower, our guest. Sorry, hold on. I'm moving some stuff around here because this is just, woo, man, stuff just is so hard right now to watch this kind of stuff go. I just don't even know what to say at this point. Mike, when do people get it? Right?
I told you sometimes maybe you got to hit the rock bottom, Michael. I don't know. Does it get to the point where they elect a certain candidate for governor that's pro-tax, pro-union, big government guy that is going to be definitely in the running with a ton of union money behind him, and is going to enact taxes that are going to be income taxes and all the rest of it? Do you have to do that for people to finally realize it? And then because you probably have two Democrat-controlled majorities with that governor team, you're going to California this place in 2 years and it's too late? I mean, is that what has to happen? I don't know. I honestly don't know what the answer is, because even if you had a good governor team that was looking to keep the budget constrained and filing the spending fiscal plan bills and the other stuff that could happen, or having a lighter budget, just seems like the Democrat controlled majorities, even though there's majorities of Republicans in the legislature, are just going to keep spending more money. It doesn't seem to matter. So I don't know the answer because we talk about the Trump administration doing what he's doing. He is a symptom of what was going wrong. Is he was the symptom of the American people being so frustrated and angry. They just said enough of you lying Democrats and Republicans in D.C. because there are Republicans, the McConnell types and others that we might have one involved in that are just going along to get along and playing the status quo game, the big government game. So I don't know what it takes to snap Alaskans out of their slumber to what's happening in Juneau and the fact that the Titanic is rapidly heading towards the iceberg and you're up front screaming and most people are in the back drinking and dancing and not really paying attention. Again, I'm not blaming people, Michael. Get upset saying that. I'm not saying anything negative towards Alaskans that aren't paying attention because, again, they're too busy living and working and raising families and doing things to really get too involved in their government until it swims up, like I said, and bites them in the rear end. But what is that event? What is that seminal moment where people go, okay, enough, I've had it. And they get involved and go, you out of office, force things to happen like we did with the repeal of SB 91. I mean, that became a statewide, known. Nobody ever knows a bill number, but everybody knew SB 91.
Right.
It got so bad that people finally got fed up and forced even people that were big supporters of it to have to backtrack and basically repeal the bill. That's a tough thing to do. I thought that the PFD would get us there because people were so upset, but so many legislators had so much influence, and then so much big union and other big money were influencing it that they just kept fighting off the people. And even though we had majorities, and it was crazy. I thought, oh, this will do it, man. This is going to get us across the hump. People are so upset about the PFD. They're going to come in here. We're going to get the support, and we're going to pass these fiscal policy bills that we had in place. Dunleavy filed it back in 2019. I mean, it's not like this is like a new thing in the last couple of years. I mean, there were parts and pieces of that being filed in 2019. It never went anywhere. And the Senate for those first 4 years I was there, 4.5 years, was controlled by a Republican majority.
Yep.
We never passed even one of those bills, Michael. And that was when the fervor was high and people were upset. And we get literally 1,000 people call in to testify in state affairs over the PFD bills and stuff going on. And it just it didn't get us there.
Well, and now people have become,
see,
now people have become weary. I mean, they've become weary and well-doing. They're like, nothing's going to change. So why should we keep spending all this time being 1,000 people trying to testify on a PFD when it's obvious that you're not going to do anything about it? That's the problem. I thought when Walker took the PFD, I thought that was going to be, I mean, it turned out to be the end of his career, but I thought it was going to be the end of a bunch of legislators' careers for not supporting it because that was the third rail of politics. But it went out with a whimper. Instead of out with a bang, it went out with a whimper. And now they're taking it, they're using it. And once that's gone, I mean, eventually there will be no more money. And we will have either started taxing Alaskans or cracked into the corpus of the fund or both, and we'll be eating the seed corn, and then people will get theirs and then they'll leave, and then we'll leave future generations with nothing to be able to support the state.
You're describing all possibilities. I mean, because there's no way to accurately predict exactly which path it will take, or path, because it might be more than one thing, like you said. But I can virtually guarantee you that taxes are coming. And people are going to go, how did we get here? And they're going to be very upset and go, oh, we've been trying to warn you for, almost a decade, right? Plus, that this is where this takes us. But they keep voting for the same people in the bush, by and large. They keep voting for the same people at Anchorage. Same people in certain districts keep going back again and again and again. And a lot of those people realize, oh, look, I can do pretty much whatever I want. And I'm going to get reelected. So when that happens, what do you do?
All right. We rejoined early down south. Let's jump into it.
The Michael Duke Show. Not your daddy. Wait, sorry. Not your daddy? Ooh, not your daddy's talk radio. Huh. Whew. I was scared for a second. Thought we were going down. Here's Michael Dukes and the show.
All right. We rejoined down on the peninsula a little bit early there. Sorry about that. We got hot and heavy into it, but we are now back across the state of Alaska. Our guest is State Senator Mike Shower, District O. coming in to talk with us today about the state of the state. I don't know if we want to stay on this, Mike, because this is a little bit depressing.
Yeah,
but
I know.
You know, it is. What's your exhortation before we move on to whatever else you feel like talking about in this final segment? Because I want to give you the floor. But what's your final exhortation to the listeners, to the people out there who care about this, who care about living here, about raising their families here, having their kids here? What's your what's your call to them? The clarion call to the listeners.
Michael, you just can't give up. You have to try to do something. And I know for most people, the time and availability they have to like run for state office, I get it, too much, et cetera. It takes a lot. It's a lot of sacrifice in money and time, et cetera. So I understand that part of it. It's just a lot of people aren't in a place to do that. Shoot, I'm not really. If I want to, financially take care of my family, it's been a big, hit. But I was just talking to some people the other day, some younger guys, and just, matter of fact, yesterday, I'll give you one quick example. I went to base yesterday and did a retirement ceremony for a tech sergeant friend of ours. And there's a lot of young guys there and gals in the crowd. And I looked right at them and said, guys, I will tell you this. I'm asking you, when you're done serving the military, when you retire or you, move on after your service term is over, if you don't go to full retirement, please stay involved. I said, I'm asking you, go be part of a community council, a city council, run for office, be an assemblyman. You don't have to run state level, but do something. Because I'm here to tell you what I've seen out of military people, by and large, tend to, one, they honor their oath way more than civilians ever did because they don't seem to understand what it really means from what I've seen. And you tend to look at the world black and white, follow the law, don't follow the law. Another problem we see in Juneau often. And I said, the worldly experience that you bring broadly on the nation, on geopolitics, on the international scale is invaluable to the state. So please, when you move on, even if you're not in Alaska, you go elsewhere, serve. Do something to give back to your community and keep serving, because what you have is very valuable to the future of our nation, not just your service now, but in the future. And I'm looking at all these young kids because, to me, they're kids, right? A lot of 18, 20, 25 years old.
Right.
And this is the same pitch I have to the people listening, Michael. It's like, I understand that you're tired and all that stuff. So am I. So is Michelle. So are you. But do something. Again, I go back to even the smallest things matter for good candidates. Volunteer. You don't have to step out of your house. You find a candidate that you like that's saying all the right things, and hopefully they'll stick to those, and give them some of your time in a weekend. You don't even have to give money if you don't have any. Call their campaign. Go, hey guys, give me a list. I'll do 2 Saturdays for you. I'll give you 8 hours of volunteer time, and I'll do calls for you. Without ever stepping foot outside of your house. Many hands make light work, Michael, and we just can't give up. I know we're saying the same thing and we say it over and over again, but it is true. The other side, all of whoever's on the other side, big unions, big government, Democrats, leftists, even some on the right, whatever, all of them are counting on you to get tired and give up. That's why we are where we are with the PFD, because people got tired and they kind of just given up. Well, they know that's going to happen. They're going to wait you out. They want you to get tired and frustrated and give up, because then they can do what they want and they can stay in office forever. Yeah. It's Michael, there's no end to this battle. That's the thing. People have to realize that, hey, we got that one. Woo-hoo. Trump's in office. We're good. Not in 3 years, he's not. So you have to understand that this is a lifetime battle for your kids and your grandkids. You just can't stop.
Yeah.
And somebody else has to pick up the mantle. I can't do this forever.
Yeah.
Somebody else is going to have to come in and carry the flag. And then you're going to, stop doing the radio at some point. And somebody else that's a conservative commentator needs to pick up the radio and carry. So this is an eternal thing, right? I actually used Reagan's quote yesterday when I was talking to those guys in the retirement. I said, freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction.
Yeah. Because
if good men do nothing, bad men will thrive. And so you just can't stop. And that was way longer than it needed.
Yeah. It's a marathon. This is a marathon, not a sprint, right? It's a marathon, and it's actually a relay race. It's a marathon relay race. You got to make sure you got somebody else on the team that you can hand the baton off to when you're finally done. But it's going to be never ending. You always have to hold it back in case. All right. We got about 3.5 minutes. Final thoughts for today, Mike. You can lighten it up, whatever you want to do. Give us your thoughts for today.
Well, I will say about the flag thing, because you asked early on, and I don't like it. I'm talking about burning the flag. I don't burn the flag of any country. Never have, never going to, because I think it's a sign of disrespect. And I think it dishonors the men and women that have sacrificed up to their lives to ensure the survival of our country, just like other countries have their things, like over in England. You're seeing a lot of people putting up the flag and being arrested for it. I mean, England's lost its mind. They're like a fallen nation now, but people are patriots and fighting back. So I will never partake of that. I don't think it's right or appropriate. However, we have to be consistent, Michael. And if we're consistent, that's been, in a way, it's a form of expression, right? Well, I think it is disdainful and ugly. It's like your free speech. I can dislike everything you say, but you should have a right to say it, and I should defend your right to say it because that's consistent. And I don't want you to turn around tomorrow and go, well, then I can't say what I want to say, because it becomes hate speech, right? We have so much hate speech now and get canceled and all that. So to be consistent, I have to look at this and go, you know what? If you hate your country, well, first of all, you should go somewhere else, but you never will because you know you're living in the best place on the planet. But so you're a hypocrite. But that being said, if you want to burn the flag, go ahead, burn it. Fine. But I'm going to look at you and I'm going to know what tribe you're in and where you stand.
Right.
And what you really believe.
Right.
And so be it. But I'm going to defend your right to do that because I think we want to be consistent in defending those rights, Michael, because the second we stop doing that for somebody else, it happens to us.
Yeah.
And so while I don't like it, and I'm not sure that Trump is on the right tack on this one, though I'd have to read, and I haven't, his exact executive order, because sometimes you and I both know that there's a nuance to it of what they're trying to accomplish, and it's not what's being reported in the press, and people take it out of context. So I haven't read it close enough to know if maybe it's more nuanced than what people are making it out to be. Maybe it's not, but I think that's one we got to be careful of, because once we start restricting free speech or we start restricting a certain type of firearm or whatever it is, you and I both know that opens the door.
Yeah. It's a slippery slope. That's what I said. I said, I'm not a fan because it's a slippery slope. I understand what he was trying to do. He was trying to deliver on a campaign promise, and it's just trying to criminalize the actions around it, not specifically the flag burning itself, but is it incitement? Does it damage property? Is it violating fire code? I understand all that, but that's a very slippery slope when you start getting governmental enforcement of everything that's involved in that. But it's a, again,
so look, if somebody committed a crime, so be it. That's a crime. If somebody burned property or did something, vandalize, well, that's a crime already. So
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Crime. You don't need to.
No, exactly.
Just follow the law.
Yeah, 100%. All right, Mike Shower has been our guest. We're out of time for today. We got more coming up tomorrow. Mike, thanks so much, folks. We got more coming up then. Be kind, love one another, live well. We will see you tomorrow morning. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio. All right. Mike, any final thoughts for today before we let you go, other than that?
I think that was really the only ones. You flushed the toilet bowl as soon as we started with the whole budget thing. Thank you very much. And then,
I'm only here to help. I'm only here to get
only here to help.
Only here to stir up the pot a little bit and see which way it all flows. But yeah, it's going to be it's going to be a crazy year.
Yeah, there's a lot of candidates in the governor's race. The legislature, we'll see. It's going to be a chocolate mess with the price of oil, and good luck to them trying to figure that out. I'm not in the majority, so there's nothing I can do about it. But I don't foresee anything good. They will push defined benefits because they're going to want it done. They're going to push more education spending. They're going to take your PFD. The tax man cometh. There's a couple of candidates for governor that are big tax people. You better start asking the right questions, Michael. I'm telling you. One of the things you want to do is people start asking the right questions, because there's candidates out there that are going to be about defined benefits, and you better nail them to the wall on it, because I'm here to tell you, they're going to find good language that's going to sound like they won't support it, but they're going to vote for it. And remember what I told people in the past? I admonish you, learn how to ask the question.
Yeah.
Don't let them equivocate. So I want a yes or no. If defined benefits are put in front of you, are you going to vote for it? Yes or no? If taking the rest of PFD is put in front of you in the budget, are you going to vote for that budget? Yes or no?
Right.
If there's going to be bigger education spending on the BSA and it's going to increase when we already know we can't afford it, I want to know, are you going to vote for it? Yes or no? Well, I got to look at things and blah, 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 blah. That's what they're going to do to you, folks. And then they're going to come back and say, I never said that I was going to vote for it or not.
Yeah.
Don't let politicians and candidates get away with it.
Yeah.
Nail them to the wall, all of us, because that's the only way you're ever going to know, because politicians are smart in that way. They know how to equivocate their answers to let them spin it and do whatever they want and come back and say, I never said that. So you better learn how to hold them accountable, folks, and you better be able to get them on record before they get into office, because once it's there, it's too late. So just think about that.
That's what the next year is going to be about, asking those hard questions of all these candidates, especially for governor. It's going to be interesting to watch. All right, Mike, thank you so much for coming on board. As always, it's good stuff. Have a good trip. Enjoy yourself, and we'll see you here in the next couple weeks or so. Thank you.
My pleasure, brother. You guys take care. We'll see you.
Thanks so much, folks. That does it for us. We are done for today. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Again, be kind, love one another, live well. We will see you guys tomorrow. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube to catch all those shorts. We'll see you then.
We've shed our terrestrial radio skin, and now we are slimy lizard internet people. It's the Michael Duke Show.